tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. Open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and damn, you're free.
My name is Amanda Misseldine, and I got a liver transplant at Banner Good Samaritan Hospital. It was 7.5 years ago, so May 2005.
My name is Anthony Gaspar. I received a heart transplant April 14th of 2008, the Mayo Clinic.
My name is Al Curtis Robinson. A heart transplant. I received my heart transplant on January 1st, 2010 at Mayo Clinic.
James Gary Tucker, a heart at University Medical Center in Tucson, June the 14th, 2006.
Yes, it's Jill Bowers. I received my second living kidney donation on July 25th, 2012.
So what's your name?
Gregory Caston.
Did you have a transplant?
Yeah.
Phoenix Children's Hospital.
My
That's
heart.
and was your heart.
And my heart. Oh, my left side was broken.
Your left side was broken. So how did you feel before you got the transplant?
Not so good.
Laura Allen. I had my transplant on June 1st, 2011. Was a heart transplant at University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona.
Ethan Daniel.
Ethan, how old are you?
5. For Mimi.
For Mimi?
What kind of transplant did you get?
Mimi's kidney.
My name is Terry Cowley, and I got my transplant on January 27th, 2012. It was done at St. Joseph's Hospital with a brilliant team of doctors.
My name is Roddy Smith. I received a liver transplant at Banner Good Samaritan Transplant Center on December 7th, 2009.
Well, growing up, you know, I was really active in sports as a kid, you know, played a lot of baseball, ran a lot of track, soccer, pretty active for the most part. I participated a lot.
I received, basically my life was on hold. I was on disability from work, no longer could work. I was just making it from day to day. I couldn't really do much. I couldn't breathe very well. I couldn't walk stairs. I couldn't hardly do anything. It was just basically getting through the day from one day to the next.
My kidneys started failing back in July of 2011, and I slowly lost my ability to exercise, to work out, and then finally my appetite. And it was in March of this year that I really began to become malnourished. And I ended up in Banner Gateway Hospital at the end of April and only weighed 93 pounds. And they put me on dialysis, which helped. It helped, but that to me was not the lifelong goal because it was very hindering to my lifestyle. But I did have to give up my exercising. We did have to give up our travel plans, but it was short-lived. So again, I was one of the lucky ones because I actually had a solution with my living donor.
And when you were a little baby, you didn't really get to be a little baby, did you? Nope, you were stuck in the hospital most of the time. Yep. And then when you were about 3 years old...
3 years old, I was out and didn't go back in.
You were out and you had to go back in.
For why?
For a little bit, right? And then
the next time, I had to go back in because my tummy is hurting.
Your tummy hurt a lot all the time, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was pretty miserable, weren't you?
When I found out that I had viral hepatitis, I had a very successful construction business going at that time. Construction work was going crazy in this town, and we couldn't keep up with the demand at that point in my life. I was married, had kids, had a great bank account. Everything was going great, and I found out this news, and it kind of went downhill from there.
I had a very busy schedule. I worked for the Mutual Omaha companies, and I served as a vice president both locally and nationally. So I did a lot of traveling. I served on over 27 boards, both locally and nationally. I had a son and a daughter, and I was very active in their school and family and travel and everything. And when I got sick, my whole life stopped. I was on short-term disability for 6 months. After 6 months, I went on long-term disability, probably which was the best thing for me because it helped me to maintain no stress as I moved through. And I still could be a little active with my family as I went through the whole process of getting ready for the transplant in 2009.
Got sick about 5 years ago. As time went on, I got to where I could do less and less better, and I even actually got a job working as a park ranger. But then I started having episodes and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even walk the beaches picking up stuff, you know. It was just way too much for me. And so after about 9 months of employment, I had to drop that job, and I just basically couldn't do much of anything. I would be able to do a few dishes at the house. As time progressed, I couldn't even do the dishes. And so I was just sitting there typing on a computer, going into chat rooms of other people that having problems, because other people's problems are always worse than yours, so you could sympathize with them. And I had a couple of cats that were just absolutely crazy about me, so I loved that. But other than that, it was really hard because I couldn't even walk to the end of my driveway.
Before the transplant, I was needing a wheelchair, oxygen, scooter, almost every mode of medical transportation I needed. And slowly, you know, obviously after the transplant I got better. But it was, I didn't get out much. I just didn't do a lot because I didn't have a lot of energy prior to the transplant.
I was really excited. It was out of nowhere. We kind of knew maybe she was going to pass all the tests because it's like a whole process that they have to go through. It's amazing. So when his transplant nurse called and she's like, it's good to go, we were just like so excited. I'm an emotional person as it is already. I just started crying, and next thing you know, a week later we're prepping for him to get in. So it was just amazing.
Well, what happened was I was admitted to the hospital. I was there for about 4 days, and I was at another facility, and then they, got a better handle of what was going on and transferred me to Banner Good Samaritan, and that's when they did an evaluation that I needed a liver transplant. By that time, it was pretty indicative that I needed it now, otherwise I would die. So they put me to the top of the list. They did a number of tests to prove that my liver was not functioning whatsoever, so that I could move all the way to the top. So at that point, that's when it went to a tri-state awareness. So, the states surrounding Arizona were on alert that if a liver became available that matched all of my, what my body would need, that it would become available to send it our way.
There are a lot of things that have happened in this journey. My son was born on January 1. He was born 10 hours and 30 minutes short of the tax deduction. They finished my surgery around 10:30 on the day that he was born. He was in the room with me when I got the call, sitting there with me on New Year's Eve.
I almost fell out of my chair. It was a crazy experience because the way it happened was it was insane. My brother, I was staying with my brother at the time because he lived close to the transplant center, and I was really sick in those days. My doctor didn't want me to leave the state of Arizona at all, or be anywhere that was more than 3 hours away from the transplant center.
On January 9, 2012, that said that there was possibly a heart available for you, right? And wow, I tell you what, I had some really mixed emotions about that day. I was sad, I was scared, but then I felt really, really good too. I was sad because some family probably had a loss, right? I was scared because I didn't know what was going to happen, and I felt really good because maybe this was going to help you feel better, right? Yep.
When I got the call, it was kind of, it was great, you know, when I actually received the call, but it was kind of strange because when I had my phone with me. You know, the way they contacted me was through my cell phone, and I had a specific ringtone for when they called me. So, you know, sometimes they would call me, and I'd be excited. I'd pick up the phone and it's like, hello, and they're like, hey, this is not the call. So it was just kind of a bummer. So it was like that for a while, you know, and I was on the list for 40 days. It wasn't too long, but it seemed like an eternity for me because, you know, it's different for everyone. But when I actually received the call, my wife actually came into the room and told me, hey, it's Carol, you know, that's the transplant coordinator, and I answered, and she's like, are you ready? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, how come you haven't been answering your phone? I said, well, I got my house phone right here and my cell phone. It hasn't rang. And I don't know what it was, but, you know, it must have been bad signal or something. But it was great. Once I got it, I was ready. I was at the hospital within like 20 minutes. So, and that's pretty fast because it's a distance from my house.
Well, the call actually came a couple days before I actually had the surgery. I had developed an infection on my arm that they were watching very carefully. And so Dr. Fabrega's office contacted me on July 23rd and said, surgery's a go for Wednesday the 25th. And of course, I picked up my cell phone and called my living donor and said, guess what? Get your suitcase ready, we're going to the hospital. And so the excitement was just amazing. I mean, every time I think back to that time between Monday and Wednesday morning when we had the surgery, it's kind of like a whirlwind because your emotions are just on your sleeve. They really are on your sleeve. So it was the happy time.
I start laughing every time I think about getting the call because I was getting ready for bed that night, and the phone rang, and when the phone rang, I was down on my knees saying my prayers, and I heard the phone ring, and I said, oh God, I can't get the phone right now. You know, I'm thinking in my head, I can't get the phone right now. And so I made a quick look, and I said, oh, that's Pat. She's probably calling me about the baby. I said, all right then. So I hurried up and said my prayers, and when I got the phone, it was Isabel. And she goes, Laura, are you ready to come down? And I was like, what? Are you serious? She said, yes. And I said, oh my God. She said, yeah, that's the first thing people say.
Actually, it was kind of weird. I actually was coming from a doctor's appointment in Scottsdale at the time, and I got it on my cell phone that says, well, we might have a heart for you, but there's no rush. And I was thinking, well, this is not what I expected, because it's usually a rush, hurry, hurry thing, because it only takes a couple hours and you have to be there. But they said there was no hurry, and so I called my wife and went home, and she came home in a panic, so I spent most of my time calming her down, and we got in the car and drove to Tucson. It was actually a very pleasant drive. I really
I'm not back to doing everything, and there's some, like my job, they won't let me go back to because of the silica dust and the chemicals involved in tile setting. And I've been able to volunteer, do some volunteer work, which is really great. It gets me out of the house, keeps me motivated to keep going on. And there's, you know, it's nice to be able to help other people when you've been helped so greatly.
I got transplanted on December 7th, 2009, as I said. I was on the slopes skiing downhill at the end of January, 2 months later. And I mean, I've had a very remarkable recovery. I stayed in good shape all the while I was on. I mean, my doctor said thank God I had the best doctor I could have had. She said what I needed to hear in the way that I needed, that only I could hear it. So I mean, any other doctor probably wouldn't have worked for me. I mean, I'm just one of those people that, God help me. I mean, I guess my head's kind of like a piece of wood.
I'm doing a lot of things that I like doing. I don't get to the meetings as much because, you know, I try and spend some time with my grandkids, and, you know, because it was a long time before I could really do a lot. And so now my husband says, gosh, I call you on your cell phone. I called you 8 times and I don't get you. And I'm like, I'm busy. That's right, I'm living.
You get to do now that you didn't get to do before the transplant?
Get to go on a cruise.
You got to go on a cruise. You get to go to preschool.
Yeah, but I think now I'm going to tell him I saw Goofy in my elevator.
You saw Goofy on the elevator?
Mm-hmm.
And you never got to do stuff like that before, did you?
I wish I could put with Mickey Mouse, Goofy, because I was going to.
Yeah.
Because remember when they had a picture with a family with Goofy? And then we can take a picture with the doggy, everybody on Mickey Mouse.
Right. Do you get to run now?
Really fast.
Really fast? You never really got to run before the transplant, did you?
Like, whoop, whoop, got out and it got in and got...
I actually had normal kidney function about 18 hours after surgery. And the human body just amazes me that it does that. And my claim to fame is my donor went home in 2 days. About 48 hours later, I went home in 3 days. And I've been careful not being around people, taking my protocol of anti-rejection drugs and so forth, but I just got the okay from the transplant center to return to the gym. Just got the okay to plan some traveling, and the impact on my family has been phenomenal. My parents happen to be 91 and 86, and they are out of state, and they made the trip here for my transplant, so I'm ready to go home and see them. And my brother was here from California to play nurse along with my husband, and the supportive family issue has been a real asset to my recuperation. And within 2 to 3 weeks after surgery, people said, "Oh my gosh, you look like a new person." And I said, and guess what? I feel like $1 million. So that.
Wow. It was like night and day, another person. After I received the heart transplant, I'll be truthful, it took me a year to get back to normal. But once the doc gave me the okay after about a year, I was a completely normal life. We went anywhere, we did things, we traveled. I spent a lot of time with the grandkids. I did a lot of activities, a lot of sports that I couldn't do before, play a lot of golf. It was back to living a normal life again like it was the years before.
Transplant, we can have more of a social life. We were on he was on 12-hour dialysis treatments every day for 2 years. So our life revolved around that. So if we wanted to go do something, we knew we had to hook him up at a certain time to get him off a certain time. I can't even explain it. It's just such a difference. And we're able to do more things as a family together.
That is great.
Stay by me right here.
I started cooking at home several months after getting out of the hospital. I started doing prison ministry 4 months after getting out of the hospital. I spent quality time with my 6 grandchildren when I can go to the golf field with them or gymnastics or whatever they're doing, or maybe we go out for dinner or go to a movie, or I can go pick them up from school when one of the parents calls. Those are the things that are so important to myself.
Well, now I'm a nurse. I got sick that summer. I was determined to stay with my friends, so I continued on to ASU that fall. I lived in the dorms, and I got my bachelor's at Arizona State University in nursing, and I actually started working in the same hospital that I stayed in, so I was in the ICU there for a couple years, and I recently have just moved to another location just for different kinds of work.
I got my life back. I actually, to me, it was amazing to do the things I thought I'd never be able to do again. And one was to pick up my son. I couldn't do that. I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't do the simple things, throw the trash. I was basically in one place for a long time. And, the stuff that I do now is like, I got to exercise, I got to run and do the things I did as a kid. I basically got to go back to 14 years old, and start from there over again. To be able to do those things, work out, coach my son's football team and hang out and do the things physically and just everything. It was great because, when you get that taken away from you, it's a horrible feeling. And to not, in my mind, I always figured, well, I'll never be able to do all these things I love to do. And I do all the things and more. So, it's great. It's great, and my life it's been 4.5 years out of transplant, and I can't complain about it.